area.
To you all. As most of you be aware of the publicity gone, this Nordic is a very special thing for those of us involved in it. And it's thrilling today to see so many turn up here to see it open. Dr. Peter Tapsell, a special welcome to you. I've no doubt the Minister by now is very familiar with WAIORAU Nordic. It's skied all around the trails in Wellington, and Peter has had a lot of time to spend on this one, and Peter's help that got this thing through. So for me, it's very special to have him here today. Representing this wonderful region we live in is the Mayor and Mayoress of Queenstown, Lakes District. I've already had that. It is with pleasure. It is pleasure that we welcome you to another new addition to the tourist scene in our district. With an apology from Warren Cooper, he was unable to make it this afternoon. Lorraine, Warren's wife, has come, and I'm sure Warren would agree with me that we have the better attractive half of the deal. There's a certain sadness with me today. It is because it's a tragedy that this project has taken so many years to come on stream. I really can understand why New Zealand has slipped from 3rd to 22nd in the world ratings of living standards. The delays and frustrations we have had to endure to get this project off is quite unbelievable. To think that a small group of middle upper class people holding executive positions in the Federation of Mountain Clubs and the Public Lands Coalition have done this for their own self-interest, to me is tragic. They want the mountain lands for their own domain. They are fit and able people, and they seem to want to exclude the ordinary New Zealanders from these alpine regions. They deny New Zealand the growth and jobs these developments will bring. Others in the district have come to me with ideas about projects in this area, and when I tell them what I've been through, the ideas just get shelved. It seems to me that the drones make the most noise in the political arena, but New Zealand desperately needs some honeybees. The WAIORAU team is totally committed. With my fellow managing directors, Mary Lee and John Young, and manager Paul Norris, we suppose most would think we have a rather unusual setup. But we have split responsibilities, and after a couple of weeks, the team is functioning quite smoothly. This is a new product, a first for New Zealand. We are determined that it will be a top quality one, but many North Islanders will come south just for a Nordic ski in 2 or 3 years' time. John Young would be very special. He's been my right hand ever since we did the first stroke on the Cadrona Road and shaped that area to what it is today. Together we intend to do even better here, building on the experience gained on Cadrona. Mary, my wife and fellow managing director, is indispensable to this operation. She is responsible for the toughest area around the base, the cafeteria and what happens in the immediate facility to that. Pat Friendly and I met at Knox College, and we became very friendly, and Pat and I decided, I might kick this up and save it. Pat and I decided that we would like to be friends for life, and one of the things that quite often males fall out of when they both see some attractive member of the opposite sex they like. So Pat and I hit on a golden rule. Everything over 5'4" could be attractive to me, and everything under attractive to him. When I met Mary, it was on the Wanaka football paddock. It's a very hard ground. She had sprigs on her feet, and I assure you, she was over 5'4" inches. Today is also quite a special one for my 5 Lee boys, 4 brothers and myself, and wives and families. My father farmed and cared for this land for 40 years. Both him and Mum have been cremated and returned to this area, so it is special to us in a way that a lot in New Zealand probably wouldn't understand in this materialistic age. Without a great deal to see, you're getting quite cold, and I'm sure there's more interesting things to be said by our next speakers. We will have the Mayor speak, and then we'll have Dr. Peter Tapsell, and then he will open the area, and then my partner in these things, Dr. Pat Friendly, will thank the guest speakers and make a few closing remarks. So without further ado, I'll ask the Mayor, David Bradford, to speak to you.
The Honourable, whoops, he's taller than me. I'll have the 5'6" one. Honourable Peter Tapsell, Mary and John, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We're here today to celebrate another achievement of one of this district's pioneer families. And I really believe that they qualify in the context of this district and its wonderful history as pioneers. You'll recall that 12 years ago, the first rope tow was installed across Cadrona, just across the valley from here, and Mary and John started their commercial ski field, which became, of course, one of the major tourism successes of the last decade in this district. I think we're all very proud of them, and certainly the residents in the tourist industry in Queenstown and Wanaka owes them a debt of gratitude for their foresight and certainly their persistence in achieving that dream. And here we are a decade later with another pioneering venture of the Lees, with all the ingredients, I believe, for another success. And I can attest to that with the hour and a half that Wendy and I had this morning. We arrived a bit earlier. You can see from the shape of the shoes we've already had a go, and it's excellent. So congratulations to the Lee family and the Friendlies and the Youngs. Best wishes on this exciting venture on behalf of the communities of the Queenstown Lakes District Council.
For those kind remarks. And I will now ask Peter Tapsell to address you.
John and Mary, Your Worship and Mrs. Bradfield, Lorraine and ladies and gentlemen. Your Worship, I come rather more often to your part of the world than you may be aware. In part, I suppose it is looking fondly back on the happy days I spent here as a young man, but as well because it is certainly one of the loveliest parts of New Zealand. I envy you. But it is a particular pleasure for me and a privilege to come back today to the formal opening of the WAIORAU Nordic ski area. It's a privilege, John, because I am very proud to say that I played some small part, and looking back on it now, it was the right decision. What you have here is a tiny area on the whole of the Pisa and the Crown Range, and what I hope you will provide is endless fun and enjoyment and recreational sport for thousands of New Zealanders in the days to come, and I wish you well with it. You were perhaps a little harsh on the environmentalists and the conservationists. New Zealand has changed a great deal in the last decade, and we have all come to realise the need for us to consciously protect the land that we have been blessed with and all of the natural facilities we have. At the same time, I too was disappointed that there were some who adopted a rather dog-in-the-manger attitude, the attitude being, if I can't have it, I'll see that no one else does. And I hope that we will grow out of that attitude in New Zealand, and that we will learn that it is possible to protect the environment and to conserve all we have, and yet allow for responsible development and responsible recreational facilities for our people. All of this land is part of a very large area, the pastoral lease land of New Zealand. We have yet to decide quite what we do with that in the long term, but as you know, I am about to change the Act. I will not be introducing the new Lands Act before the end of this session. That may mean that I do not have the opportunity of introducing it ever. But so be it. In my words, in the years to come, John and Mary, you will have thousands of young and old New Zealanders come to enjoy this particular facility. I wish you all well. I envy the opportunities you all have down in the south, and if it is now required of me, John, I am very pleased to formally declare the WAIORAU Nordic ski area open to all.
Get out of the bloody way.
You tell them that?
Yeah, if you like.
Radio New Zealand. TVNZ. Get it. Sorry, Jeff.
Lower. Thank you, Sean. I would like to say thank you on behalf of the families who are involved in this particular project to our two speakers, David Bradford, the District Mayor, and Peter Tapsell, the Minister of Lands. It's been a great pleasure to see you all here and a great pleasure to have them both address this opening ceremony. I suppose that a number of you don't know who I am. I was introduced just a couple of weeks ago, and somebody said, you're that shadowy figure behind John Lee. Well, I'm not shadowy in the sinister sense, but with John Lee as a friend, I'm certainly always in his shadow. I want to say a very special thanks to the other families who are involved in this project. I think many of you know them already, and many are local. Not just the Lees and John and Mary Young, but Ian and Marlon Farrant, and more recently Dennis and Olwen Pizarro. I couldn't wish to be involved with a finer group of people, and I couldn't wish to be involved in another project that I believed in as strongly as this one. When John and I had the idea, which, as always, John actually was the visionary, and then we together developed this concept further with Mary and my wife Sally. It was conceived as a project which would open a small area of the alpine lands to people who, until this time, have had little or no access. We wanted access, we wanted safety, and we wanted it to be affordable. We wanted it to be suitable not only for all ages, for the young and the old, but also suitable for some of the hotshots, the people who are super fit and who enjoy this way of maintaining their fitness. So we wanted it to be suitable for all levels of skill and for all ages. What have we achieved and at what cost? Well, we certainly would say that it is accessible. We would say that it is safe. I think that it is reasonably affordable for many people, but it is not as affordable as we wanted it to be. With GST and an environmental impact fee on each ticket, and then the costs of the battles which we have had to fight, some $6 in every $20 ticket is actually going directly or indirectly to government and government agencies. It would have been our wish that it should have been even more affordable to all families and all individuals. But those figures also highlight the fact that this is no great investment, particularly since it was made or started some 6 years ago. In 1984, the original application for this was lodged, and many of the difficulties that we have faced have been alluded to already. But there were times of complete bewilderment for us because we had to say to ourselves, are we being harmful? Are we proposing to be harmful to this environment? Is this activity not in harmony with this world? Are we proposing an activity which is harmful to people? Are we proposing an activity which is harmful to this community and this region? And again we would have to say to ourselves, no, no, no. And we would keep on. But the costs have been very substantial. The financial costs, obviously, but also the costs to the Lees, the Friendlies, the Youngs, and the other families involved. The human cost upon ourselves has been substantial. Would we do it again? No. Would we recommend that other people take on similar projects at the present time and in the present economic circumstances? No. However, let me say a very, very sincere thank you for a very large number of people, many of whom are here today, who gave us what we would regard as intensive care when we were most in need of intensive care over the last 6 years. Among those have been the authorities, the local district council members, and most certainly Peter Tapsell, who really held the fate of this project in the palm of his hands, and as he said, was prepared to judge it for himself and then weather the storm of protest which followed. We are proud of what we have achieved, and we hope that we can achieve more. We think it's good for people, we think it's good for this community, and we think it's good for the country. And not just that, we think it's in harmony with this environment and opens a small piece of the alpine experience to people who otherwise would never have shared it. Thank you for those who have given us the support when we most needed it. And thank you to our speakers. A couple of presentations. They are both symbolic. The first presentation is to the Minister, Mr. Peter Tapsell. It is a rug which was woven of merino wool from the Lees farm, from the merino sheep who grazed and still graze this land. It was not only woven from merino wool from the sheep grazing here, but it was woven by their daughter Rachel. So it's with great pleasure that I present this rug to Mr. Peter Tapsell on behalf of the Lees as much as on behalf of the rest of us. And certainly John Lee is not only a great friend, he's a man of vision and perseverance. And this is a presentation on behalf of him.
Thank you very much, Pat, and John and Mary. It's a lovely rug. I'll keep it and hang it in my minister's office next year.
perseverance of John Lee. My next presentation is to David Bradford, and with thanks for his kind words and thanks for him being present today and representing the District Council. It is a sweatshirt of high quality, delivering a very important message, which I am sure you will all want immediately to rush into the building and buy. But this one is a gift from us, from this project and its staff. Whilst mentioning them, I would like to say a very sincere thank you to the staff. They create the environment, they create the happy experience that we expect everybody to have when they spend a day here. I thank the construction people, John Young and many of the men associated with him who have done this project with loving care. Everybody who has been involved with it, and I guess it's rather like Cardrona. The place becomes an expression of the people who have been involved in it. And there have been some very wonderful people, and there continue to be.
I just have to ask the question, do you want me to hang this in my office or in the council chamber? It's excellent. I'll wear it with pride from my career. Thank you.
We have a plaque over the back. I would just like Peter to move round behind you. We didn't have a building yet. He's a great friend. And we'll just move around and get Peter to unveil the plaque. And then I would ask Paul.
Skis, and likewise with the poles. So most people, when they start off cross-country or Nordic skiing, this is the
Thanks. This is recording. Shaking Roger. Something like that.
Well, there's one board. Walk on these things.
Get in the tracks, Pauline.
You're going to be in the tracks.
Get in the tracks.
Tell it. On the way home. Yeah. Take your skis back tomorrow. Come on, Ralph. Get some on. No, they haven't got any big enough. Oh, what a story. Wide enough. Come on, Ralph.
He's down there. I passed him going down.
Now, is this scary coming up or not?
Right.